Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, DeArmond holding serve until 9 a.m. 43 degrees as you make your way into work, into school on this Friday morning. And what a day it is today. Tonight, round one of the high school football playoffs get underway in earnest. And I say that because last night over at Madison City School Stadium, round one officially got underway as James Clemens put their perfect 10-0 record on the line at home against Oak Mountain. And Drew, it's the playoffs, and you have to play the full 60 minutes.
Yeah, it's the biggest 48 minutes of the year, really, when you think about it. I mean, it's high pressure. It's different. And unfortunately for the Jets, they had a great regular season. It was magical. They had a lot of comeback wins, a lot of shootout victories. They just found a way. But last night, the magic ran out a little bit. An amazing season for Chad McGehee and his staff and the new era of Jets football. But it comes to an end. The Oak Mountain Eagles from 7A Region 3 win a shootout and kick a field goal. Garrett Murphy, 32-yarder at the horn to defeat the Jets at Madison City School Stadium 38-35. It was a heck of a ball game. It was close throughout. I believe Oak Mountain led 21-14 at halftime, but the Jets certainly didn't go quietly, and they battled the entire way, but could not quite get over the hump and make one more play than Oak Mountain. But 38-35, the Eagles win over our James Clemens Jets, and the Jets are going to have a long off season. I know there's a lot of seniors on that team that are extremely upset that the journey's over, but they certainly established a great tradition at James Clemens. They've dominated this region for over half the last 5 or 6 years, and they certainly have established themselves as one of the best programs in North Alabama, but a tough way to end it last night.
All right, so tonight everybody will get underway in the high school football playoffs. Plenty of games. Make sure you join 97.7 ESPN The Zone tonight. Hamilton will take on Madison Academy at Bill Washington Stadium. The Mustangs, the top-ranked team in Class 4A. You'll be able to hear that game. Kickoff set for 7 o'clock. And then the North Alabama High School Football Scoreboard Show will follow that. It'll get underway at 9:30 tonight on Zone 2 if the Madison Academy game is not completed. And then once that completes, that show will be on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. So plenty of high school football going on tonight. Bob Godsey will join us in the second hour as we preview his game with Hamilton. So we'll talk more high school football as the show kind of rolls along a little bit. High school basketball got underway last night as well. Gyms all across North Alabama followed the bouncing ball. Huntsville, Grissom, both in action. Good night, though, for high school basketball.
It was. I know you were over there at Grissom for their tip-off against Hazel Green, and they were supremely impressive. There's no doubt about it when you think about how good Jeremy Crutcher's team has the chance to be, but I think everyone's been anticipating Jack Doss's second season at Grissom being much, much, much different than the first one, and so far so good. They went extremely impressively over the Hazel Green Trojans, blowing them out, running clock in the fourth quarter. So congratulations to Grissom. I was over at Huntsville High, had a really good crowd over there. No doubt about that. The New Hope Indians, Elijah Garrison, someone I know you know very well. Yeah. His first game as head basketball coach for the New Hope Indians, taking over for our good friend Todd Jeffers. And Huntsville wins that game 68-42, led by the 25 points of Messiah Morris. 14 off the bench for Tyler Bump, 8 for the sophomore big man Caleb Harrison. Huntsville forces 25 turnovers in the game, had double-digit block shots, and just played outstanding defense. But both Huntsville and Grissom off to extremely impressive starts.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show, on the conversation this morning. We do have a lot of stuff to get to. We're going to get you ready one last time for a busy weekend of SEC football. Obviously, the only top 25 versus top 25 matchup in the country is in Kyle Field. That is 12th ranked Auburn, 13th ranked Texas A&M. But Other ranked teams are in action in a game you will hear right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Third-ranked Alabama, or second-ranked Alabama, if you go by the playoff rankings, at home against LSU. And I was joking in my head about this earlier, Drew. This, to me, because every day it seems like Ed Orgeron is trying to put another name in the injured list, a guy not playing, whatever. It almost feels like this is going to be on a high school level where you have a 7A team coming to take on a 3A team, because there may not be a lot of bodies on that Ole Miss sideline as far as numbers go, just by hearing everything that you hear this week.
Well, I don't know. Five certainly took it out on Scottsboro. So, but of course that's a little bit.
Well,
of
I'm just talking about I know.
I'm just talking about from the, but certainly I don't think the right now in the college football parlance that LSU is 5. I don't really think they're a machine. So
yes, right now yes.
But yeah, it's setting up kind of like that, no doubt about it. Because and we're going to talk to Ron Higgins in a few minutes, but it's almost like you're wanting to know who's available. You're not really talking about the game and have the matchups and things of that nature, but it's been more about what Ed Orgeron said during the off week last week, which is that they weren't really able to practice a whole lot because they didn't have enough healthy bodies. And then this week, it's the injury report. Like, okay, who's not playing in the game?
Yesterday, he said Mason Smith has been on crutches. He's questionable now to play. Every day, Ed Orgeron is throwing a different name out there on someone who may not play on Saturday against Alabama.
So I guess he's setting himself up to have a crutch literally for himself if it's 65-0. I mean, I don't know, which personally I hope it is, but and again, Nick Saban on Hey Coach last night in the Nick Saban show, he used a mantra that I quote that I remember him using last year. He said, revenge shouldn't be a factor, but it is.
Right.
And so I think he understands that his players still, remember 2 years ago. Even Nick Saban said, yeah, of course, they remember it. I remember it. So,
because there's several players on this team that were there in
defensively
2019.
Especially.
Yeah.
Not as many offensively, a few, but especially on defense.
So is this, though, where Alabama does have to be careful? Because LSU does have talent.
They do.
They have guys that play in the SEC, so they're fully capable of playing. Is this Ed Orgeron doing his best to be like, oh, poor us? But then when they get there, it's like, oh, wait a minute, we're fine. We're going to be just fine, and we're going to give Alabama a test and a challenge.
Well, I think the young players that are still in the program, they want to give Alabama a test and a challenge. They want to compete at the highest level. That's why they came to LSU. So, now the mindset of the coaches, it's always difficult when a staff's been let go because guys want to know where they're going to be next year. You want to know where your next job is going to be. And so it's sometimes hard to stay focused. So it's going to be interesting. Sometimes if you have a veteran group, you might sometimes they may police themselves, but unfortunately for LSU, they don't have a lot of veterans, and they didn't even to start this season. In a way, they were still a young group, so that's what's going to be interesting is to see how hard they play on Saturday. And if you're Alabama, like I said, playing LSU has always been a big deal since Nick Saban got there, but this year it's more about taking care of your business, doing your job, the old quote from Nick Saban, dominating your box and finding a way to win the game and stay healthy and get to the next one. Of course, the next one is going to be New Mexico State. It's rat poison, but it's going to be a layup. That's once again about doing your job, getting better every day, and not looking at the scoreboard and just winning the football game and staying healthy. Because really, it's going to come down to the last two games, in my opinion. Because LSU is of the 3 SEC games Alabama has left, they are probably, and most years this is not the case, but they're probably the weakest team left that Alabama has to play. Now, certainly, they had more guys available and played Auburn, a really tough football game. And they have not played Arkansas yet, but we'll see. They did win in Starkville, and so they are capable. So you have to understand. Now, Alabama won in Starkville as well by 40, but you can't really compare scores. You just have to, play your game. And, again, the biggest thing for Alabama the next 2 weeks is staying healthy.
All right, Alabama still sitting at a 28.5-point favorite over LSU on Saturday. All right, Tennessee and Kentucky, they play on Saturday. And we've talked about this matchup. We've talked about how the fact that you think Tennessee has a chance to go into Lexington and win this game. Tennessee, by the way, the line has shifted. When this started, Kentucky was a favorite. It has now shifted Tennessee's way. Tennessee is now the favorite going into Lexington. But, Drew, Tennessee made some news yesterday by announcing that the investigation is concluded into Jeremy Pruitt and everything, all the violations. It says that most of the violations uncovered dealt with the illegal benefits to recruits and players. Tennessee did confirm the investigation has concluded, that there are no new interviews have been conducted since July. They alerted the NCAA to their findings and granted them permission to sit in on the interviews and have access to what the investigation found. The other big topic that Tennessee did discuss yesterday and release was that they are not going to initiate a bowl ban for this coming season because they felt like they didn't want to punish the players that were not part of all of the wrongdoings that happened under Jeremy Pruitt. You okay with Tennessee not imposing a bowl ban?
Well, I mean, I'll say this. You're not going to impose a bowl ban, then Jeremy Pruitt better not be given a show cause, because if there's not enough to get a bowl ban, well, then there's not enough to get a show cause on the head coach. So that to me, that's what that says. I mean, in there, of course, I read the fine print. Well, with the players that the violations where the violations occurred, they transferred to other schools and yada, and they're playing elsewhere, yada yada yada. But they were still at Tennessee when it happened. That doesn't. I mean, there's a transfer rule that where everybody in the country can leave without penalty.
Right.
So to me, the bottom line is this: if you don't think there's enough there to give yourself a bowl ban, well, then I think that Jeremy Pruitt should be exonerated. I mean, he got fired and fired for cause.
He's suing. That's what he is going after Tennessee for. Remember,
and I think that what this reeks of to me is settle. He may not get all of his money, but settle. Pay him. Because
he's asking for what, 20?
I don't know what the exact number is, but let's just meet in the middle, settle, and give him some of his money, and then let him restart his career at Alabama, and because I think that's where he would be going, and as a defensive coordinator, and begin reestablishing his career, and then Tennessee can move on with Josh Heupel, and then try to reestablish Tennessee. In other words, an amicable split, and let's roll.
Yeah, Jeremy Pruitt, remember back on middle of October, his attorneys sent Tennessee a letter wanting a financial settlement by October 29th. Obviously, it is November 5th, and we have not heard anything. It's a game of chicken, man. He is asking for $12.6 million.
Give him $6 million and let's go. I mean, Tennessee's paid off enough coaches since Nick Saban's processed all of them.
And let him be free to coach next year.
Exactly.
Where a lot of Alabama fans want him back as defensive coordinator.
There you go. I mean, the Tennessee fans, they didn't like Pruitt. He was an Alabama guy. He didn't turn them around. So they've moved on. Let Jeremy move on. Then everybody will be fine. Jeremy Pruitt is not the first coach to get fired. He's not the first coach to come under NCAA scrutiny. I mean, my Lord, I think everybody understands if there hadn't been some politics going on 25 years ago in the SEC and you investigate Philip Fulmer. somebody doesn't think he cheated, then I got some swamp land in Arizona to freaking sell you. And I respect Tennessee Jeff and all of our Tennessee fans and callers, but okay, just let's understand something there. If you don't think some things were going on, there were some things going on at Alabama, but there were definitely some shenanigans going on at Tennessee, and they're paying for them still today in karma. 15 years. Glorious.
Oh. But you still believe Tennessee can beat Kentucky on Saturday. You still think
I've said that. And I'm not changing my mind. 31-28 Vols. There you go. Been very impressed with what Josh Heupel's doing.
I think they can win. I think they can go up there. Now the question is Hendon Hooker going to be healthy enough to lead that offense?
Hopefully. I mean, they're coming off of a bye. They should be much healthier. They were banged up like crazy. They don't have a lot of depth, but they're playing hard on both sides of the ball. I mean, they're competing, and I think they can win a game played in the high 20s, low 30s, and they can win that football game right now over Kentucky. Kentucky did not look good against Mississippi State, and so we'll see how they respond in Lexington, to the adversity they faced last week, because Kentucky still has a very realistic shot to win 10 games for the second time under Mark Stoops, but it's just going to depend on how they were, the mindset that they have.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. If you want to get in on the conversation this morning, feel free to do so on this Friday morning.
Well, and speaking of LSU and the NFL, it looks like the Cleveland Browns are ending the Odell Beckham Jr. era.
Please end it, because I'm just tired of having to hear about it every day.
Restructured contract, and he will be released. So
yeah, they were trying to convert his signing bonus into salary, which would make it easier for the Browns to release him.
He never did anything
easier
in Cleveland.
for another team to sign him as well.
I mean, he's basically, this era's Terrell Owens, man. Wherever he goes, trouble follows, and he can't seem to fall in line. Very talented player, supremely gifted, but he just can't seem to put it all together since his early days as a Giant.
All right, let's get a break in because, we mentioned Odell Beckham Jr. We won't be talking a lot of Odell Beckham Jr., but we will be talking some LSU with Ron Higgins. Just how bad is the injured party at LSU? Is the tent full? We'll find out when we return.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck in Morgan County, 31 north at Moe's Chapel. Overturned truck there with injuries. 72 westbound at Shields is reported as a no injury. 72 eastbound at Zaner in Limestone County may have an injury. Stalled tractor trailer on Highway 67 near Gum Pond Road, right at the top of the hill, causing problems. Next week is Veterans Week at the Y. Veterans, reservists, National Guard, and active duty military and their families enjoy free use of any YMCA in Madison and Huntsville. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
In 2 years, you can have a career that makes sense for you. Skill up and earn a living working with your hands, or work on the front line of computer information systems and cybersecurity. Get a degree that lets your healing heart take care of people. Help design and manufacture the most advanced cars, machinery, or even aerospace components. In just 2 years, great careers are within your reach at Drake State Community and Technical College. Visit drakestate.edu to apply.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom factory order today. And get $1,000 off MSRP. See how at WoodyAndersonFord.com or at the corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is your big game headquarters all fall long. And with our new fall features, every day is game day at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Try our pregame starters, including our homemade onion strings, always fresh hot lips, and our all-new Buffalo Dippin' Chicken appetizer. Our main events include incredible chicken, fish, and shrimp selections, always featuring local Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget our Sunday Blitz, 11 to 6. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
This is Eli Gold of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. A new contract and expanded playoffs with the same results. Listen to Alabama football on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
All right, 7:25. Welcome back to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. If you think your college football team is off to a rough start or having a bad season, at least you're not Arizona State. Yesterday, Jordan Simone, who was the sideline reporter for Arizona State football, put on Twitter that he had been fired because he made some comments against the Arizona State football team. He says, I have nothing for love for the football program in the university. I'm proud of the Sun Devil to be a Sun Devil, he says, but I've been let go for some comments I made. And Pete Thamel went back and pulled some of the comments, Drew, and his comments were, among the things he said were, these players don't even realize that they've been coached so poorly, and they've been coached out of a championship.
That's putting it about as succinct as you can, no doubt about it.
Oh, man. How would you like to have that poor Herm Edwards? Herm Edwards going through.
Well, I mean, they've already had some issues with last year and as far as the way they recruited, and I know that there's some problems with they were accused of not abiding by the rules as far as campus visits and things of that nature, and having kids in person with face-to-face, contact and recruiting. So I know that's been going on. And they had high expectations coming into this year. They have not lived up to it. They have struggled. And it's interesting because a lot of Herman Edwards' staff, including I think his defensive coordinator Antonio Pierce, they're all NFL guys.
Right.
So you wonder, of course they know football, but college football and the NFL are different. So is there player development going on? It sounds like there's an issue there at Arizona State.
All right. Hopefully here in just a few minutes, Ron Higgins will join the show as we talk LSU football. The LSU Tigers getting set to travel to second-ranked Alabama tomorrow. You'll be able to hear that game right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Kickoff set for 6 o'clock inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Of course, you got 12th-ranked Auburn, 13th-ranked Texas A&M. That is your 2:30 game on CBS. Top-ranked Georgia will take on Missouri tomorrow. Georgia, a 39-point favorite over the Tigers. And then you have Ole Miss taking on Liberty, hosting Liberty at 11 a.m. 17th-ranked Mississippi State, Drew, travels to Arkansas tomorrow. A 3 o'clock kick there. That's an intriguing one.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, I think it's intriguing just because, both those teams have kind of been a little up and down like a roller coaster, but they're playing much better football. And I think going down, I said this the other day that if Mississippi State continues on the trend they are now, that there's no question that Auburn-Mississippi State game is setting up to be a big one within the league because Mississippi State, they're not going to win the West, but they certainly are going to be a factor down the stretch. I mean, they play good defense. Offensively, Will Rogers coming off the best game of his career. I think he was 36 out of 39 last week and threw for 400 yards. So their offense with Mike Leach, it's always like that. They have to get settled in. He's got to get his guys in the program, and I think Mississippi State is going to be dangerous down the stretch, no doubt about it. And it definitely looks like they're going to be going to a bowl game, which is a huge accomplishment in his second year, especially considering how they played early. And while the officiating was not good and they basically played a role in them losing to Memphis, they also didn't play good football. But that Memphis team also was, I think, playing at a higher level then. But again, they've responded the way you would hope.
Let's go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Gary's with us on a Friday morning. Good morning, Gary.
Morning, Gary.
Hey, good morning to y'all. I'll make this kind of quick, but Drew, to your point a minute ago, talking about, Phil Fulmer, and this is kind of an interesting story, so I'll get through it real quick. So Randy Citizen, who played linebacker for Vanderbilt late 70s, he was credited with making, I think, the only tackle where Johnny Davis ever lost yardage. Okay. So his family, I believe, is from Hartselle, Alabama. And so his dad, and I believe his dad's name was Robert, Bob Citizen, whatever, a dentist, and he also did some high school refereeing, and he was just, huge high school fan, huge college fan, whatever. So back then, Mac Brown was at a speaking engagement, and this was, I guess, early 2000s. Okay, fast forward from his son playing at Vanderbilt late 70s. So anyway, he would be the kind of guy that would attend, any kind of event or somebody like that. So it was Mac Brown at North Carolina before Texas, and then
yes.
And so it could have been that he was still at North Carolina, but something makes me think he was already at Texas, and they hadn't got to where they were yet in 05 and whatever, but they were pretty good, and he was building that, whatever. So anyway, Dr. Citizen was, and a friend of mine told me this story that his dad knew about it or whatever, and I don't remember if he attended with him or what, the same event that they had, done some high school refereeing together. But anyway, so they caught Mac Brown back at the end of the speaking engagement, and he made the comment after the dinner that if you're out there back then, and I'm saying this was maybe 2002, 3, whatever, all right, so he made the comment that if there's a five-star recruit anywhere in the country, he said, that you're trying to get, he said, and this was back then, he said, if USC's involved, if Miami's involved, and if Tennessee's involved, you can forget it. So that's the comment that Mac Brown made to these, group of folks that are from around here, so you could, kind of verify the story. So that was kind of like, and I've always kind of thought about that. Yeah, I mean, but kind of to your point earlier. But yeah, that's a fact. If you don't think that they were doing some of the top kind of underhanded stuff in the country, then guess again.
Right. Well, that's a very interesting story, and it doesn't surprise me much. I mean, when you think about Nevin Shapiro and what he was doing at Miami, and what you found out, about that, and
later,
when all that came out, and then USC, when you got Will Ferrell, coming to practice, and all these Hollywood types, Snoop Dogg, and all that. What I mean by that is, it's not those dudes; it's the hangers-on and all these agent-type guys that are around your program. And then you see what happened with Reggie Bush. So, I mean, it's just you're kind of playing with fire there.
Exactly. But But anyway, thank y'all. Thanks for the show always, and y'all have a good one.
Yeah, thanks,
Gary. Appreciate it.
And it's sad though. It's sad because when people have success in college football, and Alabama's going through it, because those that are envious, those programs around the country that are, I don't want to say programs, but fans are instantly saying, well, Alabama's going to get their due because eventually it's going to come out that they're cheating somehow, some way, simply because when we see success around college football, usually somehow, some way, Miami, USC, something always comes out. I mean, it's sad, though, in college football that's instantly what we think of when we think of success, is that somebody's cheating when they comes to recruiting.
Well, I mean, it's a tough business. I mean, the recruiting is it's the lifeblood of each program, but it's also a 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year process. And with social media and Twitter and Facebook and Twitch and everything like that, now it's become even more difficult because there's a bunch of different ways to reach young people. So again, it is hard, no doubt about it, and you have to navigate a lot of different things. You got to deal with mentors and parents and everything else like that, and the young man, and then all these recruiting websites that now talk to these kids. And I mean, if as a player, it's a stressful situation too, especially if you're a quote unquote 5-star, because you got so many people coming at you, and of course these kids, they get 15 minutes of fame, so to speak. But then once you get to the college campus, it's step one. You have to prove yourself all over again. And some
kids have a hard time adjusting to that.
Yeah,
we've seen that.
The Antonio Alfanos of the world. Sometimes you adjust well, you become a great player like a Devontae Smith and win the Heisman. And sometimes, like with Alfano, you wash out. Or Ayabi Anoma. Though I will say this for Ayabi, saw a little blurb the other day. He's leading the OVC in sacks, so he's obviously found a home at Tennessee Martin and is playing very, very well. So good for him. Glad he finally found a place to get himself right. And get on the field and succeed. And he can still be an NFL player. I mean, he has a lot of talent. It's just sometimes you weren't emotionally ready to go to a place like Alabama.
All right, the rest of the SEC does look like this on Saturday. We talked about Kentucky and Tennessee. Kentucky and Mark Stoops, in their minds, I think it is a huge game against Tennessee because they need to get that taste out of Mississippi State, the performance out of their mouth. But I don't think there's anybody in the SEC that needs to come out and have a dominating performance more than Dan Mullen does Saturday on the road at South Carolina, because of everything that has transpired after the loss to Georgia, where it just seems to be going downhill, out of control more for Dan Mullen, more than ever. I mean, I was cruising around Twitter the other day, or yesterday, and there was a quote. Rick Neuheisel was on satellite radio yesterday and said that he believes that if Dan Mullen gets an NFL offer, he's gone this year. Like he is taking that offer and leaving college football because Mullen is tired of everything that is going on right now.
Translation, he hates recruiting. I mean, let's be honest. And he's not good at it. And that's why, the Florida program right now is not where it needs to be because he's in year 4. He hasn't recruited well enough. he had he inherited some great players and did a good job developing them, and got lucky when they signed Kadarius Toney. He was someone that kind of flew under the radar at Blount High School in Alabama, but and then they did a great job getting a guy like Kyle Pitts, who was a really good player, but I don't know that he was considered a can't miss.
Right.
But they developed him into a great player. So we'll see. You have to win enough games to get an NFL franchise interested.
Is Dan Mullen an NFL-type coach?
What Cliff Kingsbury is, I would say, yeah. But I think the NFL-type coaches they're more ego managers, and then they don't really they won't play callers and things of that nature. It's not about the Nick Sabans, and we've seen Urban Meyer. He's having a rough time with Jacksonville. Of course, he doesn't have a good team right now. It wouldn't have mattered who they hired in Jacksonville. They weren't going to be good.
Right.
But the thing is, it's more about hiring the next, play caller and OC, the Kevin Stefanskis of the world, and people like that, the Arthur Smiths with the Atlanta Falcons. It's about hiring OCs that are play callers to try to get your offense jump-started, to be honest, and then the Cliff Kingsburys of the world, and he wasn't even a successful college coach. So it's just funny, which guys fit in the NFL, and Kingsbury's had more success there. But going to be interested to see if Dan Mullen, if they can finish strong, because the back end of their schedule is incredibly soft.
Right, it is. So would that change? So if they go out and dominate South Carolina and they take care of business down the road, are we forgetting all of this talk that we've been talking about after the Georgia loss? Is it water under the bridge, or does it still
not
stick
exactly
around with Dan Mullen?
Because he's going to have to make coaching changes. He's going to have to, go get a new defensive coordinator, probably tweak his coaching staff.
They become the sacrificial lambs.
Well, potentially, but Dan's also a loyal guy. He may not want to make that many changes offensively. Those guys have been with him for a while, and we'll see. He was rumored that he tried to pursue the Falcons job. I don't think they're really on his radar at that time. As far as the Falcons, I'm not sure they were interested in Dan. So we'll see. If a franchise is interested in him. With their offense has not been great this year though, and we haven't seen a consistent level of play out of Emory Jones. Anthony Richardson's still young, so I'm not sure Dan Mullen's going to get an opportunity yet until he can develop his next QB at Florida.
All right, it is 7:40. Let's get a break in. When we come back, more Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Phone line still open to you today, 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Working on a stalled vehicle in Morgan County, Highway 67 near Gum Pond Road, right at the top of the hill. It's a stalled tractor trailer. 72 eastbound at Zaner in Limestone County trying to clear an accident. 72 westbound at Shields, a little minor accident working. 31 northbound at Mose Chapel, got a vehicle that's overturned there. May have some utility damage with that one. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourself. But AVIQ is more more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Carrier Rosenblum here with Rosenblum Realty, and we appreciate our MA family. Football season is back again, and we're here for your real estate needs. We've been also doing rental properties for many years. You may have a home that you need to lease out. You don't need the headaches. You need somebody to take care of it, make sure the repairs are done, keep the rent coming in, and screen the tenants. We can do all that for you at Rosenblum Realty, where we do property management services, or you can find a good home to rent as well. Call us at 256-539-9501. Put our years of experience to work for you.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Protecting your family is a priority. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors are two of the best life-saving investments for the safety of your home and your family. But they do actually expire. The expert electricians at Mr. Sparky will test and advise or install the best unit for your home. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back to Talkin Ball on this Friday morning. There is time for you to join the show here in hour number 1, 256-576-4977. You can do so. We've been talking about Tennessee not choosing to impose a bowl ban for this coming season after their investigation into Jeremy Pruitt's recruiting violations have concluded. No new interviews there in Tennessee since July. So they've chosen not to punish this year's team, and no bowl ban this year for Tennessee. So right or wrong there. Your thoughts on Alabama LSU tomorrow inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. And then the big one, really at 2:30, it is the only, hard to believe, it is the only top 25 versus top 25 matchup in the country. And that is 12th ranked Auburn, 13th ranked Texas A&M. Auburn, since Texas A&M has joined the SEC, I should say, Auburn has not lost at Kyle Field. So you have that going for you, but this is a different led Auburn team going to Kyle Field. This is a Brian Harsin-led Auburn team. Not that that makes it worse or better, but this is a different look Auburn going in there to Kyle Field. Does Auburn stand? I mean, they stand a chance in winning this one, but is Texas A&M the better team at home on Saturday?
Well, on paper, A&M is the more talented team, but they've never beaten Auburn at home since they joined the SEC. So the Tigers certainly have that going for them. Bo Nix is playing much better football, much more comfortable in the offense under Brian Harsin. Last week they got Tank Bigsby rolling again with a running game, and that's going to be important against Texas A&M, no doubt about it. I think it's going to be a game decided late into the fourth quarter. I think A&M, I would give them a slight edge if Zach Calzada plays good football, because I think they have a really good offensive and defensive line. I know they have had injuries on that O-line, but it played very well against Alabama. And if they play well and protect Calzada and give Isaiah Spiller and A-Chain a chance to run the football, then I like Texas A&M's chances.
Right.
But, again, there's a lot at stake for both teams. Certainly with A&M to stay in the SEC Western Division race, they have to beat Auburn and then become Auburn fans, because they want Auburn to get to the end and knock Alabama off in Jordan-Hare Stadium in order to help A&M reach Atlanta, because they still have a chance to do that. But the only chance they've got is to first beat the Auburn Tigers on Saturday afternoon in College Station.
It's another chance for Bo Nix, who has been on a hot streak ever since he got benched.
Yep, against Georgia State.
Against Georgia State, he has been a completely different quarterback.
And a quick shout out to the University of Louisiana and Billy Napier. They get a win over Georgia State in front of our great friend and the patriarch of this station, and that is Wes Neighbors. And his family, everyone knows his two sons, Connor Neighbors, assistant strength coach there for the University of Louisiana, and then Wesley Neighbors, his oldest son, the safeties coach under Coach Napier. They win 21-17 over Georgia State last night at home. So Louisiana getting a nice win on Thursday.
They did indeed. Thursday night football on the college level. Tonight, I'm just taking a look. I don't think there's anything tonight as far as college football goes. Let's take a look here. Actually, we do. We have two games tonight, Drew. You got Boston College playing host to Virginia Tech, and Stanford will play host to Utah. That is tonight. So you got a Pac-12 game you can watch, and you got an ACC game that you can watch. Two of the most powerful conferences in all of college football right now.
Yeah. Riveting.
Well, I mean, if you are Oregon, you're rooting for Stanford tonight.
Of course, it's good
because the more wins Stanford can get, the better that one loss looks.
Yeah, but if you're Oregon, you're already fourth in the college football playoff rankings, and you know if you can win and win impressively from here on out and win the Pac-12, you're going to be in the playoff more than likely. The only thing that you might worry a little bit about Ohio State, but you shouldn't because you already whipped their ass. So that ought to play, heavily into the committee's thinking, because I know teams, improve and get better, and Ohio State certainly has, but they still lost head-to-head at home to that Oregon team.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We invite you to join us this morning. We've been throwing around a lot of different conversations. One of the big things, though, is the fact that the college football playoff rankings came out on Tuesday. We already know, and we've debated the fact that Cincinnati should or should not be in the top four. But the thing is these rankings, they don't mean anything right now, because going into Saturday, results speak for themselves. And so when results happen, Texas A&M and Auburn, somebody's going to come away with a loss there, ultimately. Whoever loses that game, whether it be Auburn or Texas A&M, pretty much takes themselves out of consideration for the SEC West run. And if it is Auburn, if they come out on top, and we talked about this yesterday, if they come out on top, they still have a chance to get to Atlanta and pull off the miracle of upsets, because it would be the second time that they would face Georgia this season. And I just can't help but think back when Auburn beat Georgia inside Jordan-Hare Stadium, and then 2 weeks later faced them in Atlanta when Kerryon Johnson was part of it and banged up and beat up bad. Georgia ran roughshod over them in the SEC championship game. There's not a case, if Auburn does get there, that could be the scenario around. Not that Auburn would run roughshod over them, but because they faced them a second time, they would be able to play them a little bit closer than what they did the first time.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I don't think that Auburn would stand much of a shot in a rematch, though. They just don't match up with – it doesn't matter. It's not going to change. They don't match up with Georgia on the line of scrimmage at all. They on the offensive and defensive lines, which is the biggest key. It's why they lost decisively 34-10 inside Jordan-Hare, and it's why they would lose in Atlanta. I just don't – if you can't block them up front on either side, you're not going to win. And I just don't think Auburn – and they don't have near the skill talent outside that Georgia does. And I just think overall that's why I picked Georgia so decisively in that game at Auburn. And Auburn actually played, good for a quarter and a half. But they just, I don't see them being able to beat Georgia. Now, might it be closer? Yeah, probably so. But I think the outcome is still inevitable because I think Georgia's the more talented team.
You bring up a good point and an interesting point. Take away these skill players from Alabama and Georgia. We'll take them all out and just put the lines out there on the football field. Alabama's offensive line versus Georgia's defensive line. Alabama's defensive line versus Georgia's offensive line. How do they match up? Because we've talked a lot about this Alabama offensive line this year, how, they're starting to play a little bit more cohesive, but there's been some bumps in the road. How does Alabama's line stack up to Georgia's line? Just not the skill players, just the line.
I think Georgia's got the advantage, but I don't think it's significant. I think that Alabama's D-line can compete with Georgia's O-line.
Right.
And then I think Alabama's offensive line, I know that I've said this repeatedly, they have a weakness at right tackle. I think that's the biggest mismatch. I think Georgia has a significant advantage along the D-line against Alabama's OL. But I will say, Alabama still, even with what we've seen with the struggles at right tackle, Brian Robinson's still averaging 5 yards a carry and is one of the best backs in the SEC and is on tap to get a 1,000-yard season. Bryce Young has thrown for over 2,500 yards and done such a great job with his production. Now, part of it's his ability to escape, and I think that's one part of it where Georgia really hasn't played against a quarterback. Now, I know Anthony Richardson is mobile, but I'm talking about a guy that can also throw the football and is an accomplished passer.
Richardson can throw the football just to the other team.
But, he's not – he hasn't established himself as a quality starting quarterback in the SEC. So that's where Bryce would be different because Georgia hasn't seen anybody close to that during the regular season. I'm not even going to count DJ Uiagalelei because this Clemson offense, they've scored, I think, 20 points one time the whole year against no matter who they played, including the tomato cans in the ACC. So that's where it would be a little bit different because Bryce Young's elite, and I think Alabama's skill guys offensively are better than what Georgia's faced. But Alabama's offensive line is going to have to play well because Georgia's really, really good up front, and that's where Georgia would come in, to me, with an advantage in the matchup.
All right. 256-576-4977. I'm just curious because, I honestly think that it's going to end up being Alabama and Georgia in that SEC championship game. We've watched Georgia play. We've seen what that defensive effort can do. We've seen how good. Yesterday we went over the metrics of points per play and snaps and all that stuff, and how good this Georgia defense is, and how, by according to two numbers, they are on track to have a better statistical season than that 2011 Alabama defense. But at the same time, too, I look at it, and I look at the competition that Georgia has played this year. It is easy to shut out a Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt is not explosive, albeit Clark Lee has Vanderbilt playing better. But South Carolina and Vanderbilt are not the same as other teams in the West. I mean, the East is very down, and it's evident. All right, that is hour one in the books. When we come back, Bob Godsey is going to join the show. The Madison Academy Mustangs taking on Hamilton, round one of the Class 4A playoffs. The top-ranked team in Class 4A. Their head coach joins us next with a preview.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. We should have the wreck at 72 eastbound near Zaner Road in Limestone County clear now. Had one on 31 North in Morgan County, though, near Mose Chapel Road. That one had an overturned vehicle, and it sounds like it may have taken out a couple of utility poles. Snelling has immediate need for experienced materials handlers at a premier government contractor. These are first shift, paying $14.50 an hour, plus overtime. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Friday, expect mostly sunshine. High temperatures will be topping out in the upper 50s to the lower 60s for the afternoon. We'll see a dry day as well. And for your Friday night, it'll be a cold one out there. Low temperatures falling into the upper 30s, lower 40s, and we'll see a mostly clear sky. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
UFC 268 from Madison Square Garden tomorrow. Kamaru Usman, the minus 325 favorite to defend his welterweight title against Colby Covington at plus 250. Zhang Wei Li minus 115 for the women's strawweight belt. Rose Namajunas minus 105. The undisputed middleweight boxing championship of the world on the line when Canelo Alvarez meets Caleb Plant. Alvarez the heavy favorite minus 1100. Plant plus 675. The fight tomorrow night in Vegas. College football, 2 games tonight. Virginia Tech minus 3 at Boston College. The over under 47.5. Utah minus 9 at Stanford, 54 total.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 97.7ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is time for hour 2 of Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Turn our attention to high school football. It is round 1 of the state football playoffs. It gets underway this evening in a game you will hear right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. The top-ranked team in Class 4A, the Madison Academy Mustangs, are at home tonight taking on Hamilton. And again, you'll be able to hear that game right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Today's interview with Madison Academy head coach Bob Godsey, brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They are a proud sponsor of Madison Academy football and invite you to visit their Saturday sports clinic for all of those sports-related injuries. Each Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., visit 4715 Whitesburg Drive. It's the SportsMed Saturday Sports Clinic. And the Madison Academy Mustangs have earned that top spot in Class 4A, Drew. They have earned the right to be at home for the first round of the playoffs, and that is where they will start the journey for a blue mat this evening.
Yes, a 9-game winning streak for Coach Bob Godsey's Madison Academy Mustangs. It was an honor to be there last Thursday. What an environment that was at Bill Washington Stadium. Senior night, they win against Russellville, the number 8 team in 5A. And it was two heavyweights battling with each other. A 34-20 win for the Mustangs, but one where they overcame a lot of adversity. They played well against a quality opponent, and it was an outstanding tune-up for now them beginning their journey to try to bring a blue trophy back to North Alabama and win the second state title in Bob Godsey's outstanding coaching career. And he's now joining us once again for his weekly visit on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Coach, you're with Drew and Scott. Good morning. How are you? Staying warm?
Staying warm, yes. It's amazing that I was cold all day yesterday and temperatures lower this morning, but I guess it being game day, man, it feels great.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. It's football weather.
Yeah, it is football weather. It's playoff football weather. We talked last week that, if you're going to make a run, you're going to go through some kind of adversity. You're going to go through some bad weather. Last week, you guys take on Russellville, a challenging contest, Coach. Threw everything at you, weather-wise, talent-wise, and everything. But this team was able to persevere and come through with a win.
Well, for the first time, kind of as a staff, and I think as a team, we kind of had that after the game feeling of, we're turning the corner a little bit, in that we played well in a big game, made plays when we had to make them. We had guys step up. We were down 2 linebackers going in. We had some guys step up and play well. Just a lot of really, really good things that happened, and it's just good to see our guys do those things and then be rewarded with a win.
No question. And Coach, I thought one of the big turning points in the game, Russellville is a quality opponent. Certainly they came out, they had an outstanding punt return for a touchdown. Offensively, they were able to control the line of scrimmage early. You guys made adjustments. They were up 14-3, but the key is you guys defensively forced the turnover, and get the ball at the Russellville 40. And then on a 4th down play near the end of the first half, Carson Crean comes up with a huge pass to Holmes for 40 yards in the touchdown in the back of the end zone. Great footwork by that young man to make sure to get his feet in the back end. But I thought scoring that touchdown at the end of the half kind of set the tone for the second half.
Well, I think that was kind of what I was alluding to there, previously, that we made the plays that we had to make when we had to make them. Like you said, we got the turnover. We were kind of hanging in there in that first half. And just previously, we had a completion over on our sideline. We felt like it was going to put us at 1st and goal. We had it down there, 1st and goal earlier, and made a mistake up front on 1st down. That kind of got us behind the chains a little bit. Ended up having to kick a field goal, but that was a huge play, huge conversion right there, and then to come out and on the first drive, first play actually, and hit a big one. So we were comfortable, in a stressful situation. Is what I like. There was no panic, there was no second guessing or any of that type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach, you wanted to give your team a challenge. Russellville provided that. How much better did your team come out? I mean, I know it's just one game, and you have played now 10 games, but how much better did your team come out of that Russellville game going into the playoffs?
Well, I just think, the whole week, way we prepared, and to get the win, it gave our guys such a boost in confidence. And that's carried over into this week. We've got an excellent week of preparation. And as you get into the playoffs, as you mentioned, there's weather. And weather's not only on Friday night, you got to deal with it during the week. And there's all type of distractions and things that go on that have to be handled. And so a little different preparation for playoffs than maybe regular season. We've been at this thing for a while. But your body's only going to hold up so long. So, there's a lot of mental work that goes on late in the season and during the playoffs, but that has to carry over to physical things on Friday nights. And our guys did that last week, and certainly we need them to continue that through the playoffs.
And then, Coach, I thought your offensive line did an outstanding job. Certainly there was some tough sledding at times against a quality front seven of the Russellville Golden Tigers, but I thought it was huge because you started to get some movement in the second quarter, and then to come out on the opening series of the third quarter, Will Stokes goes 65 yards for a touchdown, and then from that point forward, it seemed as though the old mantra is pound the rock, but it seemed like you wore down Russellville a little bit.
Well, that was our plan coming in. An outstanding defensive team. You don't have to earn everything, and we had preached that all week. We have to be comfortable with those 3 or 4, 5-yard runs. And we have to put them back to back, and then eventually you'll get the big one. And even in that first half where we were able to just stay patient and like I said, the plan coming in was just keep pounding it right at them, take our shots over the top, with Jalen, and just stay with it, and it'll pay off, especially late in the game. And I think it was evident there in the fourth quarter as we started, the last 2 drives we were hitting them in chunks. So that's kind of the plan. That's kind of the way our team is built, this year, and we'll keep working that and as best we can.
Well, Coach, let's look ahead to this evening. Hamilton comes to town. You are the number 1 seed. They are the 4th seed in the region. Any team that makes the playoffs does have talent, does have the ability to win a ball game. Break down a little bit of what you see from Hamilton.
Well, first of all, Hamilton has a very proud tradition over there. They have played some really, really good football, and there's some history between MA and Hamilton, going back to the 3-8As and things of that nature. And when I was at Brooks, we were in the same region with Hamilton there for first couple of years and that type of thing. But Hamilton has good football tradition. They play good football, and they're going to come over here, thinking they can win, and for one reason that is to win. So I think it's important for us to establish ourselves early and get control of the game early. And do what we need to do. We're back to full strength. We'll have all of our guys on the field tonight, so we're happy about that. Maybe I said full strength. We'll have them back on the field. Some of them maybe are 80% or something along those lines, but at least we'll have them out there. And that's key. So we just want to get off to a good start, a hot start, and be in control through the night.
And, Coach, I know the thing is you've always preached to us, even during this journey to the regular season, that the playoffs is a mindset. Certainly, when you're playing in November, you've earned their way there. But if you want to, complete a 5-week run, it's all about the leadership and the mentality of your football team.
And I feel like this week we've had that's been excellent. And, as I said, I like the word that y'all used this segment in terms of earning the way, because I feel like this team has earned its way this year and has cleared each hurdle along the way. And of course, we got 5 more. We just got to continue to step up, continue to work, continue. Our deal is control what we can control, and that's us being the best that we can be. And really, that's all we can all do in this world is just be the best that we can be. But I'm very proud of our senior class that is really stepping forward in terms of their preparation and how they're doing things. That carries over to everyone.
And it does make it a lot easier that this team is at home. I think a lot of people tend to take for granted sometimes that you're opening at home and how big of an advantage it is to not have to travel in round 1 of the playoffs.
Well, I think obviously you won't play as many at home as you can, but at some point we're going to have to go on the road, go somewhere that we haven't been before, and in a tough environment and win. The good part of that is we've made a few of those trips this year already in terms of going places that our guys haven't been, and every environment proposes something different or tough about it. Not just the opponent. So that's going to be part of it, as well. Hopefully, as we move forward. Now, we'll take every one of them at home if we can get them. I don't think we won't, but we're still going to have to load up on that bus and go somewhere and gut one out. A little bit like last week, but to think you're going to play great for 5 straight weeks, that's probably not going to happen. The teams that advance, the teams that make it to the finals are the ones that are tough enough to gut out a win on the road somewhere in bad conditions when maybe you don't play your best.
Well, and Coach, last few minutes with Bob Godsey, head football coach of the Madison Academy Mustangs. We haven't really talked about this guy a lot during the season, but I thought he was as much of an MVP for you guys in the game against Russellville, and he will be huge in the postseason because, as you just talked about, you will have to gut out a game. There will be close, tight, hard-fought contests, but you've got a senior kicker punter, Ian Vachon. What a game he had. He did a great job punting. He did an outstanding job executing on one of the key plays in the game, tied at 20 on the fake punt, but then also drilling a 47-yard field goal. Coach, I made a comment to Glenn Laird after the game. I thought it would have been good from 55, but having a specialist like that is going to be huge for you guys going forward.
Absolutely. And he was the MVP the other night in terms of just, all of those things. We won't talk about the punt that got returned.
Right.
That was a little bit of a hiccup on his part, but the rest of the night, we had 3 kicks that were down inside the 10 or 11 yard line, which kept them backed up all night. Like I said, he answered with 2 huge field goals. The kickoffs, 4 out of, and I think every kick he had was in the end zone or inside the 5 yard line, which means that with coverage they're starting inside the 20 at the 20 or inside. So that all of those things are great. And then to execute the fake punt, threw a nice ball over there, and he's a weapon. And you need that in the playoffs. You got to be good in this. I'm proud of all. I think we pressured the punter multiple times. Last Thursday that, first drive of the game, we get the ball that, on their 40 going in because we pressured a bad snap. A bad kick. So all of those things are good. And as you said, moving forward, special teams just become even more important.
All right, Coach, when it's all said and done, Madison Academy is moving on to the second round if you do this tonight against Hamilton.
All right, we're going to go with something a little different this weekend. If we take care of the ball and if we tackle well in space, and that's just the way it is. And that's kind of our calling card. And we had the one turnover the other night that didn't get us off to the greatest start, but we're able to overcome that. But once again, we take care of the ball and tackle well, and we feel good about our chances.
No question about that. Coach, good luck tonight. We're going to have the call Steve Moulton and Glenn Laird on ESPN 97.7 The Zone, the number 1 4A, 9-1 Madison Academy Mustangs taking on the Hamilton Aggies in first round of 4A playoffs. We're really looking forward to a deep run for Madison Academy and moving on tonight. But we appreciate the time as always, and good luck to you tonight, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Coach. Today's interview brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. Give them a call today, 256-881-5151, to experience the SportsMed difference. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, dedicated to providing care that improves lives. And Drew, you look around in some of the other games tonight in Class 5A, the Lee Generals on the road at Leeds tonight. Douglas, who it has just been a remarkable season for the Douglas Eagles. They're on the road tonight at Pleasant Grove. Gunnersville is at home against Ramsey. East Limestone is home against Center Point. Then you have Boaz on the road at Parker. Ardmore is at Alexandria. Fairview is at Fairfield. Russellville's at Lincoln. Those are some of the 5A matchups going on tonight.
Yeah, and Brett Dringer was asking about Vinemont. That's the opponent for the region champion, and that is, of course, Lauderdale County. Lauderdale County region champion this year, went 9-1. Their only loss to Brooks. The 4 seed from 3A Region 6 is Vinemont, and Lauderdale County will be heavily favored in that game. Lauderdale County, as we know, is the 3A Region 8 champs, and I look for them to march on against Vinemont tonight.
Let's go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline real fast. Jeff from the Borough with us. Good morning, Jeff.
What's up, Jeff?
How's it going, guys? Well, guys, it's the first round of mediocrity in the playoffs. The 1-9s and 2-8s get a chance to go against 10-0s and see if they can pull the upset. And more than likely it'll be 56-7. Down here in Tennessee, we have too many classes, and I'm sure y'all do too. 6 classifications in public and 3 in private. So. But the public schools aren't as bad. We take the top 4 in each region, 32 teams in each bracket. So, we have teams sometimes 0-10 and 1-9 in the playoffs. They've got no business in it, but they put them in anyway. So, no business. But they'll go down and get their butts beaten. And like guys said, 30 years from now, they can sit around with you and say, "Yeah, we made the playoffs my senior year of high school." They can sit around and say that. So, that's the way it is in Tennessee. It's the rewarding mediocrity. So, I'll probably see one tonight. There's a 10-10, Oakland 10-0 is going to play a team that's won one game, and I know COVID hit them. They the first 2 or 3 weeks they didn't play, and they shut down for a while, and then they had COVID a little bit again, but the coach didn't shut it down. I think they only played maybe 8 games, I think, this year, but so it'll probably be a running clock by the second half. So, but I was going to tell you guys that yesterday they announced the semifinalists for Mr. Football, and George James is one of them, the George commit. They've got down to 5 for each classification, so he's one of them in 6A, and then the Wade twins too. They're 2, because everybody is saying up here in the highest classification it's going to be Summit and Oakland for the state championship. That's how the bracket is getting a award if everything holds like it's supposed to. So. But we're Titans fans just trying to see what Superman's going to do Sunday. The man can do everything. Derrick Henry. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit in the wind. You don't pull the mat off an old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with 22. There's a Titans fan base and the media up here think Derrick Henry is the greatest back in NFL history. He's better than Peyton, Harris, Dorsett, all of them. He's the best of all time. Is that true? Drew? He's the best of all time?
That will be decided later. He's the best in the NFL right now, and now he has to heal up. But he's been the best in the NFL the last 3 years, no question.
Well, if he gets a title, he'll solidify the Hall of Fame. If not, it could be questionable. Because see, Drew, I don't worry about stats. I want the rings. I'm not, because records are made to be broken. I'd rather be Franco Harris right now with 4 big rings. I'm not worried about the yards and all that mess. No one cares about that. When you retire, no one's worried about stats. They want the rings. That's why Terry Bradshaw is the best of all time, 4-0 in Super Bowl. Just think if Brady was 9-0, how great he'd be. But he's 6-3, isn't he? Because he couldn't get up. He's a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me? That's the bottom line. I don't care if he plays in 19 Super Bowls. He still lost them. And when you lose, when you don't play happy to be there, just like won in the 90s, but they won it. So I'll give them credit. We'll see now how much Freeman, how much loyalty he has to the Braves. I've been hearing he's going to be wearing pinstripes real soon. So we'll see how much loyalty, how much he loves the Braves. Now, down here, it was almost like the Nashville Braves. They showed them getting off the plane and all the stuff and the Vandy boys and all this. So we'll see now how much loyalty the Braves have. And you didn't need Melanson, did you? A guy down here backs the GM ownership for not hiring Melanson, for not signing Melanson. But you didn't need him. You didn't need Soroka. You didn't need Acuna. You still did it. You didn't need all them. But you thought you did. But you don't need them because you had enough talent and enough of a manager. And I just want to tell you, is Brian Snitker, is his son, was his son in the Astros dugout?
Yes.
He's the hitting coach. Yes.
Boy, if I'd been Brian Snitker's son, whoo, that'd been the roughest night of my life. I had to deal with that. My father beat me in the World Series. Whoo. What a rough night, what a rough weekend, what a rough 6-8 months for him.
Yeah,
well, I wouldn't want to be
rough.
him for nothing. You guys have a good weekend.
See you, Jeff.
All right, we got to talk something positive because that was just, I don't know.
That's pathetic.
Friday complaints by Jeff from the Borough. I mean, I can see why people sometimes get tired of his phone calls because I was tired of that one today. Brent Zorneman joins us when we join the break because it's the only top 25 matchup in the country. 12th ranked Auburn, 13th ranked Texas A&M. Plus, Zorneman was at the World Series as well. So we'll just get his thoughts on all kinds of stuff.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're working with a heavy traffic load now, but I don't see anything major problem-wise. We're going to have a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode this morning, so definitely if you're going to be in that group, you want to be on your toes. Put some extra room in there just in case something goes wrong. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write this name down. Dr. Randall Burns at Huntsville Heart Specialist, where they have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Everybody knows the fun begins when you get to the end zone, where you can enjoy half-price apps every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, half-price burgers every Tuesday, plus late-night pizza specials and a spectacular menu that includes jumbo wings, half-pound burgers, Tex-Mex, and an incredible selection of craft beer, and plenty of big-screen TVs. It's all happening at the end zone, 1851 University Drive, 2030 Cecil Ashburn at Jones Valley Station, and coming in early 2022, Mid-City End Zone at 1115 McMurtry next to the Target Shopping Center.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Eating the last slice of pumpkin pie? Power move. Buying your own gifts? Power move. Switching to crazy fast gig speed internet from WOW? Power move. Get the speed you need with gig speed internet for just $64.99 a month. Plus get a year of HBO Max included and $300 on us. Sign up at wowway.com today.
Wow.
After the promotional period, HBO Max will auto-renew at then prevailing rate. Limited to new customers with auto-pay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet and Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet and Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
In today's real estate market, you need the right professionals to help make sure your home purchase is smooth and hassle-free. That's where Jacob Title comes in. Stan McDonald and the staff at Jacob Title cater to the realtor and clients who are looking for a top-flight closing experience. Jacob Title uses the latest and best technologies to ensure a safe and secure exchange of funds, and they pride themselves on great communication well before and during the real estate closing process. Jacob Title in Huntsville and Madison, and online at jacobtitle.com.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome back to the show. We mentioned before the break, it is the only top 25 versus top 25 matchup in college football this Saturday. 12th ranked Auburn travels to 13th ranked Texas A&M, a spot where the Auburn Tigers have never lost to Texas A&M at Kyle Field. Since Texas A&M has joined the league, Auburn has a perfect record inside Kyle Field. Will that continue this year? Will Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher figure things out? We don't know. But what we do know is this game carries tons, and I mean tons of implications when it comes to the West, when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to everything, despite Auburn already having 2 losses.
Well, and so does Texas A&M, but they certainly got the biggest win of the college football season, beating Alabama in College Station just a few weeks ago. And our next guest is with us from the Houston Chronicle. He broke the biggest story, really, of the college football season, which was Oklahoma and Texas going to leave the Big 12 to come to the SEC. He was very, accommodating to us. He joined us via phone from Hoover at the SEC Media Days. We've also caught up with him during the season. And once again, we are going to talk to Brent Zwerneman of the Houston Chronicle and talk about this Auburn-Texas A&M game. The last time we spoke with him, they had just named Haynes King the starting QB, but we didn't see much of Haynes King. Gets injured in the second game, and so this has now been Zach Calzada's team. He had the best game of his career against Alabama. Going to need another big game on Saturday afternoon in College Station against Auburn, and Brent's now with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Brent, you're with Drew and Scott. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, he picked a really good game to have the game of his career so far.
So far.
Because the others, he's been on a little bit of an upward trajectory, but he still has a long way to go in terms of being a really good, solid quarterback in the SEC.
Well, Brent, Texas A&M has had one of the, despite losing Haynes, they've looked well. Did they come out? They don't look good against Mississippi State. They ultimately fall, but they rebound, get Jimbo's biggest win of his career against Alabama. They're at Texas A&M, not his career, but at Texas A&M, the
Right.
win there. But, it's been one of those seasons where if it all plays out, it's still going to come down to that one game for Jimbo Fisher, and this one would be the Mississippi State game.
Yeah, it's crazy that the way this league play started for the Aggies, they lose to Arkansas and Arlington, which has been a neutral site game for about the past decade, come home, lose to Mississippi State. So they drop to Arkansas, lose to Mississippi State. You're going, man, what is going on here with this program? And in a year that they were expected to compete in the SEC West, and you could say, okay, they lost Haynes King, they lost 4 or 5 starters on the offensive line, but we had been told all along that they had really recruited, good offensive players. Jimbo Fisher himself had said both Haynes King and Zach Calzada will play in the NFL. So, and it was a pretty close quarterback battle in the offseason and training camp. So you didn't expect them to be that bad, even with those losses of King and the offensive line. Then suddenly they rebound, and Kyle Field had 106,000 in it that night. It was a night game against Alabama, and the Aggies prevail. And Nick Saban loses for the first time in 25 games to a former assistant. And the key then was, okay, is this kind of a one-hit wonder for the Aggies in what's an otherwise lost season? Well, then they went up to Missouri and pounded the Tigers. And if anybody knows who's followed this program, A&M hadn't, even though they hadn't played, they had been in the Big 12 together, A&M and Missouri. A&M hadn't won in Missouri this century. I mean, their last win was in 1999. They had like 3 straight losses up there and had trouble in Columbia, even with some Missouri teams that weren't very good. Johnny Manziel lost up there in 2013. So they pound the Tigers pretty good, come back to Kyle Field and beat South Carolina handily, 44-14 in a game that really wasn't that close. So South Carolina scored a couple of touchdowns late in that one. So, yeah, you're talking about a team that's suddenly on a roll. And to your point, if things all fall right, and that's a big if right now, this is still a team that could be in contention for its first SEC West title. If Alabama happens to slip up along the way, they would own the tiebreaker over the Crimson Tide. So yeah, he's gotten it back right, but then right now A&M fans have to sit there and go, man, if the Aggies could have just beaten Mississippi State at Kyle Field, if Mike Leach hadn't got the best of Jimbo Fisher, and you beat Arkansas the week before, you're talking you're probably number 1 or number 2 at the least right now in the nation, but they're not. Right now they're on the outside looking in, of course, on the college football playoff.
Well, this is how unique it is that they need to beat the Auburn Tigers, which they haven't done at home. That's another anomaly since they joined the SEC. They're 0-4 at Kyle Field against the Tigers. But if they do beat Auburn on Saturday afternoon, then you have to turn around and become big Auburn fans because then if they could knock off Alabama at Jordan-Hare in the Iron Bowl, and A&M takes care of business, then Jimbo and the Aggies are in the SEC championship game with still an outside shot at getting to the playoff.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, and then you look at the Aggies. Then next week, the week after, they go to Ole Miss, which certainly won't be
dangerous.
Easy. I know Auburn took care of business against the Rebels, but let's say they do get past Auburn, and right now, of course, Jimbo, I can't blame him. That man is not looking past Auburn at all at Kyle Field, because if you look back to 2 years ago when it looked like things were, really he was starting to have this program on a roll at Texas A&M and really settling in, and then the Tigers come in and beat the Aggies at Kyle Field, Bo Nix, and all those things. So he's very aware of Auburn's recent history at Kyle Field, which I always thought that was one of the craziest stats of the Aggies being in the SEC for almost the past decade, is how each team would win at the other place, all the way up until what? I
think it was 18.
Yeah, where it finally changed. Yeah,
I think.
And that was Auburn beating the Aggies in Auburn for the first time, correct? Yeah, since A&M had joined the SEC, and that was also Jimbo's first year. So Tigers have had his number, and he's aware of that. 1-2 right now, and so it's one of those other things, trying to get that monkey off the back, so to speak, right now, in terms of playing Auburn and playing them at Kyle Field where they're 0-4.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about Zach Calzada. How's he set? I mean, he looks like he's settling in nicely as quarterback. This was a close battle between him and King going down to the end, correct?
I would heard. I mean, Jimbo said all the right things, but you had kind of heard behind the scenes that Haynes King was the guy, and that Zach Calzada was going to be a nice, option if something happened with King. And sure enough, second week of the season at against Colorado in Denver, Haynes King goes down. Zach Calzada has the best arm, and I think I mentioned this to you all back when we talked about it, right in the preseason. I said, Zach Calzada has the best arm I've ever seen on an A&M quarterback, and one of the best arms I've seen in college football. Right. The guy's just got a cannon, and I always think, if the football thing doesn't work out, he needs to go get on a pitching mound and see what he can do if he's bringing it about 102 or not, because he can sling it. What he's got to continue to work on, and what he has worked on, is just becoming more of the guy who's managing the game a little better, not trying to do so much and, overthrowing his receivers, because he's throwing 100 miles per hour on each pass. And one of the things that the Aggies have kind of settled in on, of course, they were off last weekend, so I'm having to kind of go in the Wayback Machine here, because it seems like I helped cover the World Series, and I haven't seen Aggie football in a while, so I'm sitting here making these references, and it seems like it's been forever since these guys have been on the field. But they've really gotten their run game going, which is something we thought was going to happen much earlier in the season, against Arkansas, against Mississippi State, with Isaiah Spiller and Devon Achane, one of the best tandems in the nation. Jimbo has really started leaning on those guys as the offensive line has improved and to kind of take some of that pressure off Calzada. But ton of potential, but still a long way to go outside of, and as I mentioned, what a game to have your career game in, which was against Alabama, and he certainly looked all world in that game.
He did, and Brent, with this matchup, Achane and certainly Spiller are as good a duo as there is in the SEC. That's going to be a key to see if which running game with Tank and certainly Hunter with Auburn, and then A&M, which one it takes control here. How has it's a two-part question. How has the offensive line matured? Because they were banged up going into the Alabama game, but then surpassed expectations and played very well. And then on the other side of the coin, to me, I see an advantage for the A&M front seven against Auburn's offensive line.
Yeah, you're talking about two kind of similar teams here in the approach, it seems like to me. And then to your second part first, I would say that A&M, the definite strength of this A&M team is, I'm not going to say maybe the front seven, but the front four.
Right.
I mean, they're so strong on the defensive line. DeMarvin Leal, Michael Clemens, Tyree Johnson. Tyree Johnson kind of plays in the shadows of those other bigger names. I think he has 6 sacks, which is right among the leaders in the SEC. So you would definitely say an advantage there, I would say, with the Aggies. And a lot of that credit goes to Jimbo Fisher keeping Terry Price on board. I think he used to be an assistant at Auburn back in the day, but Terry Price played for the Wrecking Crew defenses back in the mid-'80s, and just an exceptional recruiter, the guy who brought Myles Garrett to A&M back, a few years ago. Jimbo was smart enough to look at him and say, man, that guy needs to stay on staff from Kevin Sumlin's staff, and defensive line has continued to be a strength. This offensive line, it was funny last year because they had a bunch of like 4th and 5th year seniors who just hadn't been very good, but everything came together, and it was kind of that old school approach of saying if you're in a program long enough, if you redshirt, if you work in the strength and conditioning program, if you stay together and gel, things will come together. And so you lost some of those guys, 4 or 5 of those starters on the offensive line. The one you returned was Kenyon Green. He's an All-American, but he hasn't been quite as good this year, but there's a reason for that. It's because they've had to use him at like 3 different positions. He's been at tackle. He's been on the inside. I think the only position he hasn't played to this point is center in terms of trying to kind of help out this offensive line. Jameer Johnson is a senior transfer from Tennessee who's really come along in the past couple of games. So, yeah, they have continued to kind of mesh and gel on the offensive line. And the running game has improved because of it, and Zach Calzada has had a little more time to think back there as well. So they've come along, but definitely something still to keep an eye on because these guys just simply haven't played that long together, even though they've looked better against, well, certainly Alabama. That was the first game they didn't allow a sack against the Crimson Tide. When you allow like 3 sacks to New Mexico but none to Alabama, I think that speaks to quite a bit of improvement in a short amount of time.
And Spiller has a chance. I mean, he has a chance to have a solid November. But going into this game for Isaiah Spiller, he's kind of working his way up the record books there for Texas A&M.
Yeah, they have a really good combination. And in terms of character and everything, you're not going to find him much better than Isaiah Spiller. And he's one who actually buys into that idea that Jimbo sells and other coaches sell, that, hey, the less wear and tear on you as a running back in college, maybe the longer your pro career is going to be. And so Spiller, even though he's putting up big numbers, Devon Achane is getting his share of carries as well. As a guy, as I wrote this week, they truly are kind of a thunder and lightning type approach. Spiller loves to run between the tackles. Achane is a world-class, speedster who's also an All-American in track. So Spiller's approach is that Achane can get his fair share of carries as long as they can move the chains and keep the ball moving. He's completely fine with that while still putting up big numbers for the Aggies as well.
Finally, Brent, I mean, you've had your finger on the pulse of this. You thought that A&M was going to get Alabama this year. They certainly did, even though the dynamic was different with Zach Calzada having to step up. What is your feel for the Auburn matchup?
I think it's going to be a tight one, but I do think it's I'm going to go ahead and say 28-24 Texas A&M. I think this is the year that that finally changes, and because you are talking about what I said, too similar. Even though Harsin is in his first year and just done an exceptional job with that program, I do think, like, if this game was at Auburn, I would go against what it's been the past decade and say, okay, the Tigers edge the Aggies. But because it's at Kyle Field, a sold-out Kyle Field, a 2:30 CBS game, it's going to be revved up around there. I do think the Aggies will edge out Auburn.
Brent Zwerneman joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Brent, you have been busy. You have covered the World Series here, Atlanta. I mean, all around the South, Atlanta has captivated everyone's attention. What's it been like in Houston coming up short in the World Series?
It was funny, the approach in Houston. It was people were trying to figure out ways to dislike the Braves, but there weren't any ways. Maybe the Pearls guy or whatever, but past that, it was they felt like if they had to lose to a franchise or a ball club, they were happy to lose to the Atlanta Braves because they're just such a cool organization. And I'll tell you, I was so impressed with that Truist Park and the setting around it and the Battery and what Atlanta has done with its baseball franchise. I mean, it was just an awesome setting to be able to travel and cover a World Series there. So, yeah, even though the Astros were disappointed, I think there was some thought that at least it was a class franchise like the Atlanta Braves that finally won the World Series title. And every year I say, well, I guess that's probably it for the Astros. Now they'll probably lose Correa and so forth. But somehow, some way, they keep making it back to the World Series 3 in the last 5 years. So I see that that the odds are they might be back again next year. So we'll see. But yeah, I was happy for the Braves too, as a guy who kind of grew up watching Dale Murphy in that group, and it's just a cool ball club. And so I think even though a lot of people in Houston were disappointed the Astros lost, they were also happy for the Braves.
Well, Brent, we always appreciate it, man. Let everybody know how to follow your coverage live from College Station on Saturday.
Easiest way is at Brent Zwerneman on Twitter for the Houston Chronicle.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Brent.
You bet. Look forward to it. We'll see y'all.
All right, Brent Zwerneman joining us from Houston. He has been a busy man. Now he's back on the college football beat, going from the World Series. That's a letdown, really. Going from the World Series back to
But
college
speaking of
football.
that, before we go on our final break, Jock Peterson turned down his player option, so he will not be coming back to the Braves more than likely. He's going to be a free agent.
He did, and Kyle Schwarber did as well from the Boston Red Sox. They both turned down their player options. All right, let's get to a break. When we come back, hopefully Ron Higgins will be with us.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're working with a heavy traffic load now, but I don't see anything major problem-wise. We're going to have a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode this morning, so definitely if you're going to be in that group, you want to be on your toes. Put some extra room in there just in case something goes wrong. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write this name down. Dr. Randall Burns at Huntsville Heart Specialist, where they have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
We know it's lonely at the top, but we don't mind.
National championship number 18. 13 in all. Absolute perfection.
Roll Tide. Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide take on the LSU Tigers in an SEC showdown. Our coverage begins at 3 on your home for Bama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Protecting your family is a priority. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors are two of the best life-saving investments for the safety of your home and your family. But they do actually expire. The expert electricians at Mr. Sparky will test and advise or install the best unit for your home. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Championships are won right here.
0-2. Come on now. Chopper out to Dansby. Dansby throws to first base. Is this happening? It is! The Atlanta Braves are world champions. The Atlanta Braves have won the 2021 World Series in 6 games over the Houston Astros. Pure euphoria down on the field. And in the booth.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, real fast. UAH women fall last night to Alabama in exhibition basketball, 87-41. Christy Curry did have some high praise, though, for Andrea Lemon's squad, saying they were very well coached and did present some challenges for them. And then Pete Thamel saying that Missouri quarterback Connor Bazelak is out for Saturday's game at #1 Georgia.
Well, that will be even uglier than it would have been. But certainly our next guest is with us, and he's a great friend of the show. His son and Nate are a resident of the Rocket City of Huntsville. He's the longtime fixture covering the LSU Tigers, now editor of the Tiger Rag, and that is Ron Higgins, who's going to give us a few quick minutes to close out the week. Ron, welcome back. How are you?
Good. Speaking of ugly games, there's one in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
Well, Ron, we're going to ask you about that. Get right to it. Scott and I were talking about this earlier in the show. It's more about, I guess, almost to me, about who's available for LSU.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that since early summer they've lost 14 players for the year.
Wow.
Everything from their starting quarterback tripping on a board coming down his fishing camp steps to the to head to his boat and get his flip-flop caught, and he breaks his left arm. The guy who probably been starting quarterback, despite what a lot of people think, to their best playmaker tearing his ankle ligaments against Kentucky. It's just been one thing after the other. And then you have all these other people who've missed games. I was looking here at the opening game depth chart against UCLA, and there's on their two deep, there's 12 guys who are out for the season on this depth chart. So that said, that hasn't helped. That hasn't helped much at all. I mean, the injuries. But the fact is that a lot of this stuff, besides the injuries, is self-inflicted. Ed Orgeron finally, worked himself into a $16.9 million buyout because he hired bad coordinators who got him fired. So, it's like y'all. I mean, would you like to hire some bad producers so you get fired for $17 million? I would.
Yeah, no doubt.
Ultimately, I mean, you look at the spread, LSU. I asked Drew, I said, I know they're missing some people, but are the guys that are left, the guys that are the young guys that want to prove themselves, I mean, do they even stand a chance at all Saturday?
No, they don't. They really don't. It's just a poorly coached team. And I mean, it's not come up. These guys don't want to play hard. The guys who are there, I think they want to play hard to a point in the game, and then there comes a point where they're like, oh God, like last, they played 2 weeks ago against Ole Miss, and they came out looking drive and scored, and they drove down the 3-yard line, and it was 4th and goal, and they went for it, which I think you should do against Ole Miss, honestly, because you need as many points as you can get. And they didn't get it. Then Ole Miss scored 31 points, straight points, and that was it, done. And you can kind of see as the game goes on, it's kind of like more and more guys are like, I don't know if this is really worth it or not. And so they're playing for a lame duck coach who, in their off week, did a self-study of the team and said the following this week. Honestly, he didn't need to do a self-study. He could have done an exit poll of LSU fans watching this year. Because what he said was that they're too predictable on offense and defense, and they don't make adjustments. He didn't need a self-study to do that, honestly. He could have asked any LSU fan exiting Tiger Stadium that was still sober, basically, what's wrong with his team. It's it right there. And it all stems to the fact he hired 2 coordinators who've never been a coordinator on this level before. I mean, offensive coordinator could never call a play on this level. I think he's been a coordinator once on some level. He hired a defensive backs coach from Minnesota Vikings as a defensive coordinator, never been on this level. And it showed up. So this team really, it never had a chance. It really didn't, because Ed Orgeron made bad hires. He made bad hires last year. And before this was all over, guys, LSU decided to cut its losses because when you count the Orgeron's buyout, the current staff buyout, and all the people he's fired since he's been there, LSU's going to pay like $35 to $40 million. And so they cut their losses by getting rid of them.
What is your feel right now for Scott Woodward in this coaching search? A lot of people think he's going to swing for the fences. He certainly has. He got Kim Mulkey to coach the women's basketball program, Jay Johnson in baseball. But this is probably going to be his defining hire. And your thoughts on kind of the feel for it at this point?
I think they can go. I think they're going to throw $12 million a year at somebody.
Wow.
Yeah, as much as $12 million a year, and I think the guy they're going to do it with first is Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo hasn't totally denied he's leaving A&M. Scott Woodward hired him at A&M. Jimbo's been in Baton Rouge as a coordinator. He likes Baton Rouge. It all depends. And if LSU fires him away from A&M, they one of the greatest upsets in history because nobody outbids the Aggies. The Aggies have more money than anybody. I mean, more, they have more alums with more money than anybody on the planet. So if they outbid the Aggies, that would be saying something. There's talk of Mel Tucker at Michigan State.
Is he a big enough name?
I don't think so. I don't think he has a big enough sample size myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't hire a coach who's been a head coach for 3 years and had one hot year like this year. I wouldn't do that. I think there's a tier of top guys. I think James Franklin is in there. He's struggled this year, but like I always say, anybody who had 9 wins at Vanderbilt 2 straight games is probably coach of the century. I think James Franklin's up there. I think Kiffin's probably still in play. LSU's whole thing is they're on this thing where, because of all their Title IX problems, they feel like they got to hire a coach with naturally no baggage, and I don't know if that's possible. Honestly, I mean, it's hard to find guys with something no baggage way down deep down in there. This team imploded because Ed Orgeron, had a great year. Immediately got a contract, huge contract, and then basically thought he'd get the lottery and cashed it in, and lost focus, filed for divorce, and just kind of went off the side of the cliff. So here we go. I understand Vegas. I have no problem with the point spread loss, none.
Well, Ron, we appreciate it. Let everybody know how to follow your work, man. Always enjoy it.
Go to TigerRag.com. That's our website, TigerRag.com. It's free, no paywall, and you can follow me at Ron Higg, RONHIGG.
Thank you, man.
Take care, y'all.
Thanks, Ron Higgins, helping us wrap up our Friday show. Don't forget, tonight, Madison Academy will take on Hamilton. You got the North Alabama High School Football Scoreboard Show and the Huntsville Havoc at home tonight. They'll be on Zone 4.
And Bad Daddy's.
Yeah, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar goes live this morning. It's already live. WZZN.halfoffdeal.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun, or